everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 11 Pro and compare it against the iPhone XS and see which particular phone is the better one for you. Now, there's a lot of different things I can definitely tell you when it comes down to these two devices, but I don't know if either one of these phones would be the first phones I'd recommend buying anymore, but there are definitely a lot of capability and a lot of really nice things going on for these types of devices when it kind of comes down to it. Now, the first thing I'll definitely tell you is that if you're in the market and you're looking for phones to pick up, I'll leave some links down in the description for some of the best phones that I'd recommend buying for the cheapest prices. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these devices, the iPhone XS, which originally came out back in 2018, on the front side of this particular device is going to be giving you basically a 5.8-inch Super Retina OLED display. So it's not anything super crazy. We've seen this type of display many times before, but I do think it's a good type of panel for what you're kind of getting, right? It's definitely not a perfect panel, and I don't want to give it the impression that it's the best panel of all time because it really isn't, but it's a good enough panel for the most part. And for a lot of people out there, you might be able to go through and buy a device like this and still kind of feel like you're getting a decent type of display, albeit it isn't really anything super crazy, right? You're still getting the notch up top. You're still getting kind of an outdated type of layout when it comes down to basically the refresh rate and the way it kind of looks, and the rest of the body really isn't that perfect either. But I would imagine that if you're going to go through and get a device like this, it really isn't that terrible. The iPhone 11 Pro, on the other hand, is a little bit of a different story. This type of device, you're basically going to be able to go through and get a phone that's giving you the same size display. It's the same 5.8-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display inside of this type of device. So from that side, you are kind of getting a little bit of a more unique type of experience there, I would say, because that type of device is going to be able to give you essentially a better feeling back and a better feeling body. They're both giving you the notches up top, which like I said before is, good. You're able to get the notch experience there, which I think is fine for a lot of people, but they're both 60 Hertz panels. So they both kind of are lacking in that same type of area. It would be nice to be able to go through and get a device on both that would be giving you a little bit of a better experience there, but you're not really getting that here for the most part. But like I said, I don't really think it's the biggest deal in the world, but it would be kind of nice to be able to get a phone that is going to be giving you a higher refresh rate, and both these phones kind of suffer in the same exact area from that standpoint. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. Now, another important thing to keep in mind here too is that between both these phones, they're both giving you these reflective material on the sides. They both look and feel fairly good for the most part. There's not really too many crazy things to keep in mind here in terms of the way they look or feel, because they both feel and look pretty premium, I would say for the most part. One of the big things to keep in mind here though too is that between both these types of devices, you have to remember that the back sides are slightly different. The iPhone 11 Pro is giving you this frosted glass back, where the iPhone XS is giving you the standard glass back. So that right there is also going to be a little bit of a tiny difference, because you're probably wanting the device that is going to be giving you an overall better type of experience from that standpoint. And with something like the iPhone XS, this type of device I think is still good, but if you're wanting the better performing type of device for the most part, you're probably going to have to look elsewhere and probably get something like the iPhone 13 Pro or something like that if you want the phone with a higher refresh rate and so on and so forth. So from that side, on the exterior, both look great, but clearly to me, I think the iPhone 11 Pro is kind of the one that is the better one there for the most part. Now, on top of that, another important thing to keep in mind here too is basically the capability when it comes down to their cameras. So right now, their cameras are still pretty good, they're good for how old they are. The iPhone XS is giving you a dual camera setup, 2 12-megapixel sensors, where the iPhone 11 Pro is giving you a triple camera setup, 3 12-megapixel sensors. So a little bit of a difference when it comes down to both as well, because both these are giving you a slightly different type of experience when it comes down to that particular situation as well. When I look at both these types of cameras, they're both giving you 4K at 60 on the back. However, the iPhone XS is giving you 1080p at 60 on the front, where the iPhone 11 Pro is giving you 4K at 60 on the front. So at least from that side too, I'd probably tell you, you are definitely getting a better type of camera experience probably inside of the iPhone 11 Pro than the iPhone XS, right? You're getting that additional camera setup, which is nice. And you're also getting just an overall better type of experience within that type of phone rather than something like the iPhone, XS. So that right there, I think, is another really important thing to keep in mind there as well. I would probably also add that if you're going to go through and pick up some of these types of devices, one other really important thing to keep in mind here too is that these types of phones are still going to be able to go through and still give you like a good type of experience, which is nice. But you have to remember that these types of devices are also going to have to go through and give you, essentially, they're not going to be the best type of camera compared to today's standards, but I guess they get the job done. And for a lot of people, you're probably going to be okay with this type of lens when it comes down to it. So from that side too, I think that kind of covers it up there. I think another really important thing to keep in mind there as well when you're looking at both these types of phones is that you are also going to have to kind of keep in mind of the software updates and software longevity. As of right now, both these updates and both these devices are basically, the iPhone XS and 11 Pro is still technically supported with software. The iPhone XS is not getting any more software updates after iOS, 18. So after, iOS 26 and all those ones, the iPhone 11 Pro is getting those updates. The iPhone XS is not getting those updates. So that right there can be a pretty big downside depending on who you are, because you probably want to go through and get a device that is going to be giving you a little bit, tiny bit of a better experience here. And that is essentially the main problem you're going to be getting here within a device like that. So maybe it isn't the biggest deal in the world, but if you are trying to go through and get a better type of performing device, then that is going to be one of the bigger things you're going to have to keep in mind there for the most part from that particular side. So from a software update perspective, that right there is another really important thing to keep in mind there as well. On top of that, I think another big thing you have to kind of keep in mind here too is that when you look at these types of devices from a performance perspective, the iPhone XS is giving you the Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with the 4 gigabytes of RAM. With the iPhone 11 Pro, it's giving you the Apple A13 Bionic chip inside with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So this right there is going to be a difference in performance as well. The iPhone 11 Pro is definitely going to be able to give you a much better performing capability and a better performing device from that side than something like the iPhone 11 Pro or the XS. So the 11 Pro is definitely going to be faster. The XS is going to be slower, which is going to be expected. So if you are wanting the device that is going to be better there, that right there is going to be another really important thing to kind of keep in mind there for the most part as well. So in my personal opinion, when you're kind of taking a look at these types of devices, the biggest and best thing I can definitely tell you is that I'm definitely a big fan of these types of phones. Right? I feel like the iPhone 11 Pro and XS were really good phones when they first came out. I probably wouldn't really recommend anyone to buy those types of devices anymore though. I feel like there are significantly better types of devices for you to go and get your hands on rather than these ones when it kind of comes down to it. So I feel like from that particular side, that is one of the more important things to keep in mind there for the most part. Maybe it's not like the biggest deal in the world or anything like that, but you are getting a significantly better performing device from those types of phones from that particular side. Now, with that being said, I would also imagine that if you're in the market and you're going to go through and pick up another device, getting an iPhone 13 Pro, getting an iPhone 14 Pro, those would be really, really good options. And I would highly recommend buying those types of phones rather than these ones when it kind of comes down to it from that particular side as well. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.